Alright everybody, if you couldn't tell by what's on the small screen or what's coming up on the live screen, yes, it is finally time to talk about Cole versus Alex.
Hey everybody.
And joining me is Bakugan, like usual. But, yeah, like I said, it is time to talk about one of the biggest matchups since Death Battle's creation.
McGrath versus Alex Mercer.
Figured we'd do this one first since I know the holidays are going to be a little out of whack for the next prediction, but I will get to Bill versus Discord eventually. But we figured we'd tackle the nice, clean paths. That is the gloriousness that we're about to talk about.
Cole McGrath, the electric conduit from Infamous.
And Alex Mercer, the mutating super mutant of Prototype. Since I haven't played Prototype in ages, you're gonna help me fill a little bit in on Alex Mercer's lore again, since it's been a while.
Yeah.
That and I never really did beat the game, because the game was pretty challenging. Now,
yeah.
When I get ready to start with Cole, I'm gonna note a few things. One, I'm not talking about Evil Cole, because Evil Cole's a totally different timeline. And number two, while Vampire Cole is part of the Versus Wiki, I am not talking about him, because according to the Infamous Wiki, the events of where Vampire Cole comes from
is non-canon.
It's non-canon. Sure, it takes place in the world of Infamous 2, but that game is non-canon.
Is it like a DLC story?
No, it's just a standalone title. It's called Infamous Festival of Blood, and, like I said, non-canon. However, there is DC Comics for both these characters that we're about to talk about.
Oh.
So,
DC
why do you think I said DC? Who do you think owns Wildstorm?
DC. Because you said DC Wildstorm.
Yeah, that's the idea. Though, I will give DC credit. The comic that they did ties both Infamous 1 and 2 together nicely, because it tells a story that takes place in between those games. So I will be including it. So, let's start things off with the very beginning.
Cole McGrath.
Starting with Infamous 1. Cole is the original protagonist of Infamous.
Oh hey, is my volume on your end able to hear the audience?
Yeah, you should be fine. I turned it up a bit.
Okay, I don't want people thinking I'm whispering or whatever. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, your volume's even on 200 on Discord, so anyways. Like I was saying, Cole McGrath, the original protagonist of the Infamous series, he was a simple bike messenger before delivering a mysterious package called the Ray Spear that changed his life forever. After the explosion, the city believed that Cole was the one who triggered the blast and labeled him as a terrorist. He is then struck.
How did he not?
What?
How did he not know the Ray Spear was in there? Like,
well, while you mention it, yes, there is a prequel comic called Infamous Post-Blast, where it talks about John White, probably mostly known as Kessler or whatever, and Cole McGrath's activities before the events of Infamous. Which, to go into that will be a little ridiculous, but pretty sure people know the prequel by now.
So it's Kessler's fault that he labeled Cole as a terrorist?
Well, he kinda was the one... It'll be easier if I explain. Thankfully, I got the plot for Infamous 1, so if anybody's not played Infamous or has been living under a rock, get ready for a wild ride. So, yeah, we're not counting the evil ending. Evil ending's totally different timeline. So, basically, Kessler's the one that caused the chain of events that led to Cole's conception as a conduit. basically, Kessler is, well, he's basically Cole from a different timeline.
Sorry?
Yeah.
How is...
Yeah, Kessler and Cole were the same person, but he was from a different timeline, where
Then how
he
did he get to
got
Cole's
to marry
timeline?
Trish.
How did he get to Cole's timeline?
He time traveled.
With what?
He went back in time to make sure that Cole got his powers. He took measures so he could do the impossible, make him strong enough to face and defeat the entity he was not to be able to confront. And to give him his final message, this was the end events of the game. The first game, that is. Kessler succumbed to his injuries as Cole took one final look down at his future self. He turned away while holding the rage within him. Now, this is the good ending, since we're not going by evil ending, since we all know what the evil ending is. It's basically a totally different timeline. Cole later reflected on his journey, remarked that he thought it would be all over once Kessler was out of the picture. However, he realized as his place in the world, he began to accept that there was no going back to the life he once had, that his powers would be a burden to carry until his death, using them as a means to help the city back up to its feet, though he was reminded of Moyo's promise of revenge and Zeke's moment of betrayal. Not sure what to make of it, then he remarked, has never been more alone as he watched over the city. Technically, in the comic, Technically, though, in the comic that takes place in between Infamous 1 and 2, it took Cole a while to become friends with Zeke again.
Really?
Yeah. It rebuilds a friendship that they once had before Zeke's betrayal in the first game.
Zeke betrayed Cole.
But then he tries helping him by trying to fight Kessler, only to get flown out of the area that those two were fighting in. By Kessler. So yeah.
I still can't go over the fact that Kessler is Cole, of all people.
Yeah, from the future.
Did he use like some kind of fancy watch or a car or something to go back in time?
I don't know if it was ever explained. In fact, where is... Where's the wiki? I need characters. More new tab. That way I can actually... no, I am not talking about Delson. That's a totally different character.
Yep. We could have gotten Delson versus Korra for Season 8.
I mean, at least it's not fucking Korra versus Rey, because you know how much I fucking hate the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. I liked The Force Awakens. I did not like the 2 films after that.
Yeah, what about the games? Force Unleashed.
Oh, the Force Unleashed games are fucking good. Anyways, off topic. Anyways, so Kessler's the main antagonist. His name was an alias used by Cole McGrath when he returned to the past to save his former self from a desolate future, usurping control of the mentalist faction known as the First Sons and Alden Tate's father, yada yada yada. So, basically, he was the one that... He basically was from a future where he married Trish, had 2 daughters, and, yeah. He couldn't stop the beast, and... he used his power to teleport himself back in time as an attempt to correct the mistakes he's made.
And he did that just to cause a a country-sized explosion.
Yeah. And he...
That is so stupid.
And he was the one that had him deliver the Ray Spirit, and specifically chose Cole McGrath as the courier for the job, setting the location to 19th and Slow at the historic district. So yeah. Kessler was the one that caused Cole to become that way.
Let's just cut to Cole being a badass.
Alright, so since I know the powers are going to be different in Infamous 2, let's start with Infamous 1 in the DC Comics, since we all know he gets newer powers in Infamous 2.
How does no powers work?
So let's start with Infamous 1. So, superhuman physical characteristics, longevity. Kessler, whose future self was able to live for over 100 years, scales to other conduits that have been living since the Salem's witch trials, possibly a cash... I cannot pronounce this word with my life. A casualty's ability to act restrained by cause and effect on scale depends on the character. Okay, so it's like time paradox immunity, all that crazy shindig. Okay, so it's basically one. So he's a type 1.
A type 1.
Of this. So he's he has time paradox immunity.
Yeah.
Since you know Kessler's his future self.
But for the people who don't know what a conduit is in Infamous, it's basically like controlling your own quirk, only if it's not genetic, and you get these powers from like some kind of like some people who possesses them.
Yeah.
Like just like how Delsin got his powers from like a bioterrorist. Or yeah.
Basically him being a conduit sponge in that game, but that's a totally different story, which it takes place after Infamous 2, but we're not talking about that, so...
Yes.
Anyways, so yeah. Limited reactive evolution can gain new powers after absorbing massive amounts of electricity. By stressing his body by using his powers in different ways, he can either gain new abilities or improve upon his current ones. Accelerated development, leveling, Cole gains more experience points the more he uses his powers. Restrain or kill his opponents, which can be used to upgrading his previous abilities, like his durability, attacking strength, etc. Though, because this is good Cole, he doesn't kill.
Some people have moralities.
Other abilities, though, absorbing copious amounts of electricity, Cole quickly develops. I think you meant to put develops, but I'll let it slide. And unlocks new powers and abilities. Physical stats, the more electricity Cole has, the stronger he is. Awakened power.
Funny enough, Cole can actually use his electricity for a number of other abilities, like sticky grenades.
Oh yeah, we'll get to those. Awakened power. Depending on what more actions that Cole is committing, he'll gain new powers and abilities. Since we're talking about good Cole, we're going to be relying on the good powers. The abilities he gains from being good Cole. Experience hand-to-hand combat. Though in the second game, he actually has he has like this amp weapon thing, but we'll explain that in a minute. Once we get to Infamous 2, because I still gotta explain the basic gists of what happens during the DC side of things, which is basically the comic. Enhanced senses, extrasensory perception, emotion vision, neutral vision, telescopic vision, enhanced sight, and light detection with a radar pulse of precision. Cole can sense electricity within every object and human being around him, the hostile intent within someone, which even allows him to see through disguises and shape-shifting of Reaper conduits. The state of his opponents allow him to know if his opponents are dead or alive. The exact placement of blast cores and shards, which are objects that don't even have electricity within them, but rather heavy amounts of radiation from the explosion of the ray field inhibitor, which I thought that was part of Infamous 2, but I'm guessing they're just going to explain it in the abilities anyway.
Oh hey, are you gonna get to the part where Cole has some like electric baton or something that he carries with him?
Oh yes, we we got that, so we'll get that, since there is a lot to talk about in terms of, like, his, feats and everything, since there is a lot. And no, I am not... While it says the barbed cross while he's a vampire, that's non-canon. We don't talk about that. A cell phone and his amp, Cole's main melee weapon of choice, which channels Cole's main melee power into his strikes, greatly amplifying them. Which, I believe, his amp was the thing in Infamous 2, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah. Yeah, Infamous 2 introduces the second power that he has.
Which is the ice
Yes.
cryokinesis.
Yep, cryokinesis. So, to make it easier for ourselves, he's at least 7B in tier, at least high 7A, at least high 7A, likely higher in terms of tier.
For people who don't know what cryokinesis is, he's also basically an ice mage.
Yeah. It even has the resistances as well, so superhuman characteristic senses, yeah. Weather manipulation, weapon creation. Sure, in Infamous 1 he created blades of lightning around his arms, though in Infamous 2 he uses a totally different weapon. Which is that amp thing that we mentioned earlier. Okay, so he has quite a lot of abilities that there's so much to read it's gonna take me a while just to read it. So his attack potency is, well, city level, can fight those who can harm him, like Kessler and Sasha, created thunderstorms after awakening his conduit gene, which required this level of energy. Polarity wall, convert bullets into energy, which is directly absorbed by Cole. His lightning generates this much energy, destroyed the ray spear in one shot, which is completely undamaged by its own explosions. Higher with Overload Burst, Gigawatt Blades, and Lightning Storm. Overload Burst doubles the potency of Cole's lightning bolts. Gigawatt Blades greatly increases potency of Cole's physical strikes. Lightning Storm greatly scales above the potency of Cole's regular lightning bolts or lightning-infused attacks. At least large mountain level fought and severely damaged the beast despite even a nuclear missile being unable to do so. Harmed and defeated the behemoths who survived the epicenter of a ray spear explosion. Apparently scales the Delsa Row, whose casual attacks turn people into energy, I guess. Higher with the Overload Burst, Gigawatt Blades, Ionic Storm, and Finisher attacks. Finisher attacks do triple damage compared to Cole's regular attacks with either his amp or regular lightning. Ionic Storm greatly scales above Cole's regular attacking power, at least large mountain level, and likely far higher. Easily defeated the beast after being empowered by the RFI. Higher with Overload Burst, Ionic Storm, Gigawatt Blades, and Finisher attacks, same as before. Oh yeah. That's his attack potency. Speed, massively hypersonic. Can keep up with Kessler in combat, who can react to and dodge lightning bolts from closer range after they've been fired. Higher with precision mode, can slow down his perception of time to a crawl. Revatistic. Apparently he scales to his evil counterpart as well, so since it is pretty much the same fucking character, except, you know.
And the fact that his good and evil counterpart managed to fight in PlayStation All-Stars, but that's a whole different story.
That's a whole other level of fucking mouthful that we are not going to diverse in today.
Yep. I think that game was during around before Pit versus Pit and Dark Pit was in Smash.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think it was right around the time when they were trying to compete with the likes of Smash, when Brawl was, like, big, or whatever.
And we all know how that game went out.
I mean, it was mediocre, but the problem was the fact that they chose Zeus as one of the characters for DLC, I could understand Isaac Clarke, but there was no need for Zeus.
Yeah, I mean, they did want to add in some villains in the game, like Smash Brothers, but
They kind of executed it a little poorly.
yeah, and they managed to fight him against a guy who was from the Batman.
Like,
The guy from... Oh, Isaac Clarke.
yeah, from Dead Space. Like I said, Isaac Clarke's not even a bad guy. Like, if you're gonna do villain fight, at least put, like, Zeus versus, oh, I don't know, freaking, Calypso, or freaking, Zavok, or whatever the hell his name is, from Medieval.
Wait, Medieval. Oh, I thought you were talking about Zavok from Lost World.
No. Zavok, or what? Zavok, the guy that, the sorcerer that brought the undead to life in the Medieval, and Savannah Fortescue had to fight him or whatever. It's an interesting story. Anyways, higher with precision mode, same as before. Statistics, possibly speed of light. The RFI amplifies its power immensely. This increases in speed should be at least comparable to the RFI semi-charged radiation in all attacks, which travel at the speed of light. Higher with precision mode, same as before. So he's pretty much from massive hypersonic to basically speed of light in speed. Lifting strength unknown. Class 50 via magnetic telekinesis, stronger than Alden, who transformed a bridge into a giant golem. In a promotional comic, he was able to derail a train with a shockwave, sending it flying into a building. Can easily throw cars with magnetic telekinesis. At least Class K can pry open the mouth of a devourer with his bare hands, which weighs 375 tons, and is physically superior to mutants and can ragdoll them. Since we all know that both these games are the era of sandbox and crazy physics, who are capable of destroying tanks with their bare hands, can easily toss and yank ambulances and semi-trucks several meters through the air with physical strength via lightning hook. Hired with magnetic telekinesis / kinetic pulse, stronger than before, can escape the gravitational pull of the beast's singularity with his static thrusters. At least Class M should be equal to, if not stronger than the beast. Higher with magnetic telekinesis / kinetic pulse. Striking strength, at least city level, higher with gigawatt blades, at least large mountain level, higher with gigawatt blades and finisher attacks, at least large mountain level, and even higher with gigawatt blades and finisher attacks. Durability, city level, large mountain level, likely higher. Stamina, superhuman. Single-handedly decimated dozens of military troops and helicopters while deprived of food or sleep for a long period of time. Can fight on even after suffering severe injuries and being beaten to a bloody pulp. Infinite with karmic overload and RFI absorbed. Karmic overload grants Cole an infinite amount of energy and doesn't run out for 30 seconds. And after Cole absorbed the RFI, he has consistent amount of energy that doesn't drain even when spamming energy taxing attacks. Extended melee range with gigawatt blades and amps, several kilometers with range attacks, energy absorption. Can fire off lightning bolts and rockets several kilometers away before they explode or dissipate. Can drain electricity from thunderstorms 18 kilometers in the sky. Can call down lightning bolts from the clouds that are several kilometers off the ground. Same as before, planetary, the ray field inhibitors blast covered the entire planet, removing conduits from every continent on the Earth. Well, except in the infamous Second Son, they somehow managed to come back without any explanation.
Wait, who came back?
The conduits.
Oh.
Even though it said the blast covered the entire planet.
Hold on, you're telling me that the blast that managed to cover the entire planet managed to get rid of the conduits, and for some unknown reason, they managed to come back?
Somehow, like, I don't know if it was explained during the prequel mission that you get in the Second Son, which is the thing that allows you to get Cole's jacket from the first game for Delsin, but I don't know. I don't know if it was explained or not. But anyways, standard equipment: a cell phone, his amp, Cole's main melee weapon of choice, which channels Cole's melee power into his strikes, greatly amplifying them. And like I said, Barb Cross is not canon. We don't count it. Intelligence: at least gifted, adaptable combatant, able to easily exploit weaknesses, come up with plans and strategies on the fly, can logically deduce the outcomes of his actions, karmic decisions. In the promotional comic for the first game, he showcases quick and intuitive thinking under pressure. He's adept at using the environment to his advantage, such as using a fuel tank to blow off a golem conduit's arm, or set David Warner on fire, and using the flooded district of Flood Town to easily dispatch small armies of Vermac 88, can easily or prematurely detonate aiding Kessler in the First Son's mines and grenades, can quickly seamlessly combine his own powers in a variety of ways to creatively take down and surprise his opponents with the maximum efficiency and unrivaled finesse, such as bouncing and ricocheting grenades off walls, directing rockets around tight corners, showing some proficiency in mechanical engineering, such as when he helped develop his amp. Can regularly outsmart and outmaneuver secret government agents, organizations hundreds of years more advanced than the rest of the world, highly trained and skilled Black Ops soldiers and superpowered mercenaries hardened by years of combat experience. He has much experience single-handedly fighting off armies of highly trained, heavy-armed, and even superpowered soldiers, defeated Kessler, his own future self, with over a century's worth of knowledge and experience in an all-out fight, and should possess his experience himself after receiving his implanted memories at the end of Infamous 1. Oh boy, this is a lot to read. He appears to be academically adept as well he was a straight-A student for 4 years of college prep. He was only 6 credits short of college graduation before deliberately dropping out. He was intelligent enough that his mother could pass him off as a teacher. Now for the weaknesses. Well, because I know I still gotta read stuff for Infamous 2, since I know we're gonna get into the ice powers, so why not? But weaknesses: large quantities of water will cause his body to short circuit. However, he was able to survive floating the Empire City Harbor for a long amount of time and can withstand neck-deep water for up to 30 seconds. He can also use water to his advantage by conducting electricity through it to electrocute opponents, may short-circuit technology, and could trigger fire alarms and gasoline, reliant on electricity and outside sources to recharge, same as before. Oh god, I'm not mentioning as a vampire, blah 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 blah. Okay, we are not counting the vampire one. Those are pretty much the vampire fucking weaknesses that we're not going to count.
So they're probably just at the fight in the analysis, but then I'm not going to bring it up for the fight.
Okay, so cryokinesis. So all previous powers greatly enhanced, including so well, it's pretty much the same stuff, but they're greatly enhanced. So in Infamous 2,
I heard that he can actually walk on water with cryokinesis.
I'm assuming that's the case. I'm not too sure. It's been a while since I played Infamous 2 as well. So yeah, there's the prequel stuff, or not prequel, the pre-sequel is what I'm gonna call it, because DC Comics takes place in Infamous 1 and Infamous 2. So yeah, Infamous 2, cryokinesis, all the powers of Lucy Quo, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, so if I pronounce it wrong, I am so sorry, since it has been a while since I played Infamous 2 and Infamous 1, pretty much all the Infamous games, including the non-canon ones and some of the prequel stories that were in Second Son or whatever. But you get the idea. Anyway, all the powers of Lucy Quo, copied all the powers of Lucy Quo via the power transferable device, which is called matter manipulation subatomic. Onto its main foundational ability is the manipulation and weaponization of unique matter, Cole uses this to generate and manipulate ice manipulation, temperature manipulation, explosion manipulation, and limited air manipulation. Since this is good Cole, we're not talking evil Cole. He gets a totally different power when he's evil Cole. Cole gained Lucy Crow's main conduit ability, which is the creation, manipulation, and overall control over ice and coldness, such control grants Cole a plethora of powerful effects and abilities, such as the ability to create ice constructs like beams of ice, which act similarly to that of lasers, grenades, rockets of sub-zero air that instantly flash, freeze anyone and anything that's directly hit by both. Massive shards of ice which come out directly from the ground, instantly freezing anything that it touches. Cole can also create a pocket of sub-zero air which can flash freeze anyone who's in it after being struck by one of Cole's lightning bolts. Aura explosive. Cole exudes an aura of coldness while he's using his cryokinesis abilities. Limited telekinesis. Cole can telepathically pick up and throw his ice constructs. There's even a YouTube video for that. I might as well just copy that link and send it to you right here, since it makes total sense.
Okay. The Crusader HD. YouTube wants me to answer their question. Yeah, no thanks.
Force field creation. Cole can generate large glaciers of ice, which is about Ox physical attacks like Cole's lightning, and can be used.
I'm sorry, is that a samurai sword he's holding?
Yeah, you can equip different amp skins.
Is there DLC ones too?
I believe those skins, I think, were DLC. It's been a while since I played Infamous 2, so I'd have to...
Well, and this guy's doing this on his Evil Cole playthrough.
But you get the idea.
So this guy was fighting against the Crusader, which is basically some kind of like ice giant or brute.
Yeah, but you get the idea. Intangibility, flight. Okay, so elemental ability, Cole can transform into a cloud of sub-zero air, which he can use to fly over vast distances. Sealing, Cole can seal people away in his ice. Danmaku, Cole can shoot a multitude of ice shards to impale his opponents with. Likely absorption, conduits have shown countless times to be able to absorb the element they control, which means Cole should be able to absorb ice. Attack potency, city level, large mountain level, higher, likely far higher with the RFI. Same speed as before. So yeah, now he's got, and his ultra finishers deal even more. So this is for striking at strength.
Can he like form a tornado if he's using the evil route?
I don't know. Ah, here we go. Ice notable techniques. Let's start with. I should explain what these abilities are for both electric abilities and ice abilities, since I'm going to also mention Infamous 2 while I'm at it. Infamous 1 abilities: Lightning Bolt, Lightning Arcs, Electric Drain, Electromagnetic Shockwave, Megawatt Hammer, Shock Grenade, Induction Grind, Polarity Wall, Precision, Thunder Drop, Overload Burst, Gigawatt Blades, Healing Touch, Arc Restraint, Bio Leech, even though this is more of an evil move, neutral, so he can do that with neutral, I'm guessing. It's a neutral thing, so Karmatic Overload, almost unlimited age, can't be used consistently within a fight. Lightning Storm can change his atmospheric conditions with control over his electricity and generates a large lightning storm which allows him to summon and control devastating bolts of lightning. This was powerful enough to kill David, who was normally resistant towards electricity and could absorb electricity as well. It could also be used to strike Cole himself to fully restore his health, energy, and electrical charges. before we jump into the ice, let's start with Infamous 2's abilities. Alpha Bolt, Pincer Bolt, Artillery Bolt, Magnum Bolt, Bolt Stream. And if you don't know what these bolts are, these are different types of bolts of lightning that he can shoot out. Alpha Blast, a strong kinetic shockwave that sends objects flying, and knocks enemies off their feet. This possesses multiple different forms of functionality depending on the type of blast, which are Detonation Blast, Graviton Blast, Sniper Blast. Detonation Blast creates a cage of swirling condensed kinetic energy that sticks to any physical object. This can be exploded either waiting a couple seconds or instantly if Cole shoots the cage with any of his bolts. And this also doesn't damage Cole. Graviton Blast generates a blast of kinetic energy with electromagnetism woven into it, causing enemies that are hit by the blast to be thrown into the air and are forced to glide slowly back down to Earth, allowing Cole to pepper them with attacks while they're helpless to stop it. It also has the karma effect next to it, so the Graviton Blast says good. Sniper Blast, which is a neutral attack, so sends out a condensed version of an Alpha Blast, carrying the same kinetic force behind it but possessing a smaller area of effect, greatly used against enemies who are far away and not enough to not be affected by Cole's Alpha Blast. Alpha Rocket. Cole lets out a ball of highly condensed kinetic energy that is held together by electromagnetism that possesses multiple different forms of functionality depending on the type of rocket. Neutral. So, for good karma, redirect rocket. Cole lets out a rocket that's equal in power to his alpha rockets, but these rockets have the ability to home onto a specific target or object that have been painted by one of Cole's lightning bolts. This is very useful to getting around someone's defenses if they are omnidirectional. Sticky rockets. Lets out an alpha rocket that splits into 3 smaller ones, which home onto Cole's targets and stick to them, perfectly used for constant spamming. Tesla Missile, while not listed as a rocket, it is very similar to one. It may only be used by Cole when he focuses power through one of the new Maria's transformers. It's primarily used for restarting other transformers, but can also be used as an attack. Any enemy hit by a Tesla Missile will be destroyed instantly, in addition to a triggering electric explosion. Missile Bolt, while not listed as a rocket, is still considered a rocket power as well as a bolt. Cole uses the power to place his normal bolts in his first fight within the beast and only regains access to it if the RFI is fully charged. It has a smaller blast radius than other rockets and electrifies any conductive surface much like a bolt, initially neutral but only later only becomes accessible for good karma. Now we got to the grenades. Since you mentioned sticky grenades, we got alpha grenades. Cole throws out a ball of condensed kinetic energy held together by electromagnetism. This possesses multiple different forms and functionality depending on the type of grenade. Cluster grenade throws out a regular alpha grenade that splits into 8 smaller ones, generating tons of multiple smaller explosions, perfect for dealing tons of damage against a single target or flowing a choke point with damage. Sticky grenade throws out a grenade which possesses the ability to stick onto physical beings like humans. Does not stick onto objects though. And it's under good karma. Electrocution grenade. The electrocution grenade is an unstable grenade that electrocutes nearby targets before exploding. It has a weaker blast radius than alpha grenade. Cole can also use this grenade as a temporary source of energy for his electric drain before it explodes, making it easier for him to recover energy in powered down areas. Stalker grenade. A grenade that, when lands, it will hop to the nearest enemy and detonate seconds later. Kinetic pulse. Cole can lift objects with this power, turn them into explosive projectile, from pizza boxes to
I'm sorry, boxes?
Yes, pizza boxes to actual boxes to cars. The object captured will always release an electric explosion after being thrown by a shockwave. Works on organic beings as well. Static thrusters. Cole can glide by releasing a stream of electricity. Was able to escape the gravitational pull of the beast incinerating black hole. Later on was enhanced by Numerae in Numerae. RFI and beast forms grant and unrestricted flight. Neutral, so even though it mentioned beast form or whatever, but since we know that's evil Cole, but we'll let it slide. Because it actually did say neutral. Lightning Tether. Lightning Tether's ability to use a rope of electricity and pull Cole to a building or an object. It can be moving or stationary. It's the most efficient form of travel, especially for climbing. Lightning Hook. Cole pulls objects and enemies towards him with an electrical beam. Car Jump. Cole can use electromagnetism to launch himself off of objects such as cars and generators. Overcharge! When Cole drains a massive amount of electricity, he will become overcharged, where he begins to produce unlimited amounts of electricity, gaining electric ore that electrocutes anything nearby. This boost lasts as long as Cole is in contact with a conductive object. Power cables, generators, etc. can also release omnidirectional electrical shock waves. Ionic Vortex! Since you mentioned a tornado, yes! That is the literal tornado thing that you mentioned. Ionic Vortex summons a small tornado that picks up everything, can easily pick up vehicles and enemies, electrocutes anything caught, has another version where Cole has direct control over it. The Amp is a powerful melee weapon built and designed by Seek. It is made to channel Cole's electrical energy to increase the power of his melee attacks. The Amp, which resembles a large double-pronged cattle prod, which is what Cole uses to channel his electricity into and to attack enemies with. When he uses Cole, he pulls it from his back which would extend and channel electricity. And yes, even the Versus Wiki even mentions this. The events and abilities that appear within the Festival of Blood are regarded as non-canon and mostly serve as a what-if side story. As such, they do not affect his canon Infamous 2 statistics, and vampire abilities are not considered part of his normal Infamous 2 skill set. If they're to be used, then it should be stated within the OP.
Yes, a what-if game, just like Dead Rising 2 off the record.
Okay, now we got ice abilities. So, since I did say we were going to mention all of his stuff, except for the vampire powers, since that's even said it was non-canon. Frost Shield possesses the same capabilities and functionality as Cole Polarity Wall, but with the cryonic element infused with it. Ice Launch. Cole propels himself high into the air by creating a stalagmite at his feet, which he then jumps off, allows him to achieve greater height and distance. Could be used in mid-air to drop ice blocks on enemies. Both Frost Shield and Ice Launch. All the ice... I'm gonna say this now. All the ice abilities here are good karma, so... And the ice powers are gained from Cole and are considered canon as they are the good option, since the good route is obviously canon. So, anyways, Freeze Rocket. Cole fires a ball of condensed sub-zero air, which instantly flash freezes anyone that solid if direct hit by the rocket or the area of effect. Ice Grenade. Cole throws out a condensed ball of sub-zero air, which is used instantly freezes anyone and anything solid if direct hit by the rocket or the area effect. It also generates a large shield of ice, which provides Cole perfect cover against physical attacks. Shatter Blast. Cole creates several ice spikes in front of him, and then uses his blast to propel them at high speeds in a large spread. The spikes travel with such speed and power that even at a long range, a single spike can remove shields carried by the enemies and knock back those not carrying shields. The blast can also reflect back certain projectiles like Shockwave can. Ionic Freeze. Cole generates large icicles from the ground which freeze anything and anyone who is touched or damaged by it. And not seeing anything regarding him being able to walk on water with his ice abilities, though.
I got it from the DB fan wiki.
Maybe it's in Infamous... Where's Infamous 2? Maybe Infamous 2 might explain... Maybe the Infamous wiki might explain it a bit better for his ice powers as well. So I don't want Infamous 1, I want Infamous 2. Infamous 2. Infamous 2. Infamous 2. Infamous Post-Blast, that's prequel. Infamous DC comic, that's the pre-sequel. let's see here. Oh yeah, and because the good route is the canon ending, I might as well mention what happens at the end of Infamous 2 for the good ending. Basically, he pretty much uses the RFI, pretty much letting off a powerful blast that, quote, killing most conduits and potential conduits on different countries and continents, though thousands died, the rest of the populace were saved, and the RFI was able to eliminate the plague, saving those critically affected by the plague. As they celebrated, Zeke brought the body of Cole to the city. Numeray is greatly saddened over the loss of his best friend. The citizens, Numeray, fully aware of Cole's selfless act, brought the body for a grand funeral, where his amp sits in the stone in front of the cathedral. Cole's selfless act regarded him among the citizens as a saint beloved by them. Zeke, who wanted to bid goodbye to his best friend alone, brought his body onto a boat and drifted away into the sea as a flash of lightning struck the boat from the horizon in the shape of a question mark.
Question mark?
Yeah, a question mark. Even though Second Son, several years after Cole's presumed death, conduits are now dealt by terrorists, yada yada. So this pretty much leads into the events of Second Son, and there was a literal, I think it was like a pre-order mission. Is this life? Is this real life? Yes, Milk, this is real. We are finally getting Cole McGrath versus Alex Mercer. In case if you didn't miss me trying to explain this all. Let's see here, where's the Infamous 2? Let's see here. Electromagnetism, ice manipulation, does it even say him walking on water?
With cryokinesis.
Low altitude, icicle.
I gotta get something to eat.
Okay, cryokinesis. Let me look at this. Known abilities. Ice vapor form and flight, ice vapor cloud, bodily ice encasement. Let's see here. Not seeing anything about him walking on water with ice.
You don't?
I'm not seeing it in here. Like, I'm looking on the Infamous Wiki right now. It's not even saying anything.
Oh, well, huh. Whoever put it there must have been stupid.
Then again, I'm sure he could if he could do cryo shit. It's been a while since I've actually played Infamous 2 and beaten that game, which I might end up streaming those games one day. But anyway, so yeah, that was the lovely lengthy background check on Cole McGrath. So, I hope you're all ready. Not just ice, he also has not just cryokinesis, he also has electrokinesis. But yes! Okay then! That was a bit weird. Anyways, bring us the breakdown of Alex Mercer from Prototype.
Yes, sir. I am using the DB fan wiki for his background history, so Alex's full name is Alexander J. Mercer, and he experienced a very brutal childhood that spent in abject poverty. His first 9 years were spent in foster care. When he turned 10, he was finally returned to his mother, who had spent the last 9 years in prison. But for Mercer, it was better to be in foster care. He was the only parental figure for his sister Dana. However, his intellect and aptitude in science provided him an opportunity to leave behind his troubled past. He trusted no one, had no friends, and couldn't care less about what others thought of him, and found solace only in his work. By the time he was hired by Gentech, Mercer was a borderline sociopath. He knew this and didn't care. After earning a doctorate in genetics at Columbia University, Mercer was hired by Gentech and became the head of the Blacklight project at Gentech. Alex's team was tasked with engineering weaponized viruses from samples given to them by the government. The samples that were provided exhibited curious behavior, including mimicry and retention of genetic information from infected hosts. With Mercer's help, the team soon engineered a particular virulent and potent virus codenamed Blacklight. Mercer's skill in altering genes made him a valuable asset to Gentech. His work was years ahead of his nearest competitor. Despite his successes, Alex Mercer was considered a potential liability by Blackwatch, an elite army created to combat exotic threats. Over time, Gentech became scrutinized by Congress and investigations were proposed. Fearing an information leak, Blackwatch decided to cover it all up. Mercer, due to his paranoid nature, began to launch his own secret investigation on Gentech. With the insistence of his sister Dana, an investigative reporter, Mercer realized that Gentech employees associated with the Blackwatch project were being silenced by Blackwatch themselves. Not the Blackwatch project, Blacklight project, sorry. Usually with a bullet between the eyes in a dark alley. When he learned that a general purge was about to be unleashed upon the Gentech scientists, Mercer fled, fearing for his life. In the event he was caught, Mercer had brought insurance. He had smuggled a vial of the Blacklight virus out of a quarantine zone and taken it with him. He also mailed a laptop with classified documents to Dana, but Blackwatch was too quick for him. While attempting to escape the city by train, Mercer was cornered in Penn Station by Blackwatch agents. In a fit of frustration and rage, he threw the vial to the floor, smashing it and unleashing a biological apocalypse. He was promptly shot by Blackwatch operatives. The virus began to spread to everyone in the station. As he fell, he collapsed onto the viral sample, becoming infected as he died. His body was taken back to Gentech in a body bag. Little did they know, as he was transported, the virus was reconstructing Mercer's body. Cell by cell, his biomass feeding the virus as it replicated the still living matter it had infected. Mercer woke up in a morgue on a slab just as two scientists were about to cut open his torso with a scalpel for an autopsy. The two men panicked and fled, terrified of Mercer. Mercer didn't understand why they were so frightened and had no recollection of his previous life. He ran after the scientists in an attempt to escape. Turns out, Mercer ended up having amnesia after he was brought back to life, and his goal was to find out who he was through the help of his sister Dana. For some reason, in his original body, he was 30 years old, but according to the virus, it says here that he's 2 for some reason. Don't ask. Let's see, for his abilities, he has superhuman strength, speed, reflexes, and durability. He also has a viral power. And care to elaborate on viral power, Storm?
Thanks to the Versus Wiki, I can get Alex Mercer up. Mercer. Here we go. Since he has 3 different forms, what's so special about viral power, you ask? Oh, nothing much. It can pretty much mutate and infect anything. Let's see here. Pretty much because the viral powers within him, he can mutate its power into pretty much any weapon possible, such as claws, hammer fists, increases muscle mass. Whip fist. Bring out a whip-like fist. Bring out an arm blade. Create a shield. Create armor. Adaptive parkour. Thermal vision. Infected vision. Vile sonar. Tendril barrage devastator. Ground spike graveyard devastator. Critical pain devastator. Infected creator. Evolved form. Flash step. Cannonball. Artillery strike. Bullet dive drop. Ground shatter drop. Yeah, there's a lot of abilities for this guy.
Did we forget to mention that he can shapeshift?
Yeah, that there is also shape. That's where the consume ability comes in. You can consume a target and pretty much take their form.
Yeah, he also possesses the Black Light virus, an artificial made virus, replica of the Red Light, developed by Alex Mercer with his partner group, which can alter the gene in cells of the human body to cure various illnesses. But it was weaponized with the sole purpose to affect only certain race types, does cancer anyway, and evolves. It gives Alex Mercer most of his superhuman abilities. He also possesses the Red Light virus, which he consumed from Elizabeth Green. And her subjects of many kinds: regular hunters, leader hunters, and walkers. This was the original Blacklight virus that has been studied for years. It is a factory of viruses, turning some strains harmless and others to an extreme case of mortality rates of 99.999%. Evolves in war dials, erasing human civilization, or turning into what Elizabeth is with increased strength, boosted intelligence. She can one-shot Alex Mercer to his knees before the latter consumed some hunters and blew up a military base with him inside it. He also has immortal longevity, a hive mind. How does a hive mind work?
I should mention it's actually pronounced as longevity because we
longevity.
We kind of pronounced it wrong in the previous predictions. But anyways, what were you saying about the
hive mind?
Hive mind. Let's see here. Hive mind, a telepathic link between Mercer and the millions of infected, which at its peak was 81% of Manhattan's population. This allows him to control them, as well as reveal their location. Mercer, before consuming green, could demonstrate a premature use of this ability. He could also immerse himself in all the minds of the infected. This ability expanded in Prototype 2 when the virus spread from Manhattan to Brooklyn and Staten Island. Since, well, yes, we will mention Infamous 2, or not Infamous 2, but Prototype 2, sorry. You get the idea. Because he was technically a part of that story, but as the antagonist.
He was an antagonist in the second game?
Yeah, you play as James Helen in the second game. With the same freaking virus!
He also has a mother transformation. Oh wait, no, I think that was Elizabeth.
Yeah, that was Elizabeth.
He has biomass manipulation.
Let's see here. Let me find it in here. Biomass manipulation.
It says here that Alex Mercer can control the organic biology of on a genetic level. Tissues altered in a near instate to the molecular level or an unknown degree. Bypass gas mass. Concrete walls can be broken down. Buildings can be stringed in integrity. To the point, thermobaric explosives are required, returning pure water into hunters. Most iconically, he can fashion biomass in his body to make his own metal-like weapons, which you already covered.
Yeah, and I'm gonna also mention right now, there is force multipliers, but those are non-canon and they do not make sense in the context of the story, and mostly serve as means to allow the player to wreak more havoc during gameplay.
He also
versus match that should be stated in the OP.
He also has critical mass, a biomass that Alex stored beyond his constraints of his peak, allowing him increased damage and excess durability, used mostly for devastators as well.
Correct. Goes beyond the constraints of maximum health, increasing his max damage output, and is able to use 3 devastator attacks before needing to consume to replenish himself.
uses the Tendril Barrage, a burst of multiple tendrils in a multi-directional form, causing a shockwave as well. A Tendril Barrage can destroy everything of Times Square and is much better in Prototype 2, where mid-game James was able to destroy a whole group of Blackwatch, including tanks and helicopters and super soldiers, surrounding him in a football arena with a few dozers when he first got it. James was able to surround the whole of Manhattan, killing off thousands of walkers and multiple infected with the sum of his and Mercer's biomass after an immense battle. He also has Graveyard Spikes and Critical Pain. The Graveyard Spikes plunges both arms into the ground and shoots out giant spikes that penetrate through the toughest shell of a tank and infected. Critical Pain shoots out a large tendril that is supported by a constant exploding shockwave, more useful in targeting a single stronger enemy.
Pretty much. It pushes its hand forward, ejecting a number of tendrils with intense air pressure, though it only works on a single target.
Thanks to the virus, he's also very good with parkour, and he has an extremely fast molecular healing factor. He can glide in the air dash, can create a web of intrigue, and of course shapeshift.
And the shapeshifting abilities are under Consume, which allows him to simulate the target's biomass, genetics, and minds of their own, allowing them to collect their living target's mind like a child collects moths, and gain access to everything their target has ever seen, done, and heard, along with their intelligence growing as they consume more people and memories and skills, and that every living being they have absorbed makes them stronger, despite how it seems the ability is not limited to organic matter, being capable of simulated inorganic matter and mimicking all the properties and functions within the same efficiency as they do with organic matter. Being able to absorb and mimic clothing, radio, transceivers, LED masks, hazmat suits, and many more by converting these inorganic matters into biomass and replicate these same inorganic materials to the extent that the Black-White virus within their bodies can assimilate anything, including metal, and that the properties and functionality of the mimicked inorganic equipment are the same as the originals. This ability can also be used to absorb one's targets upon the user's biomass touching their targets without the need to either weaken or batter their targets, and could even absorb multiple targets at once simultaneously. However, this ability has only ever been demonstrated by Alex Mercer without any implication that this feat can be replicated by other shapeshifting carriers of the Black-Light virus. Thus, this doesn't necessarily apply to other shapeshifters infected with the Black-Light virus that may need to weaken or severely batter targets before the targets can be absorbed.
He also has Thermal Vision and Infected Vision. With Thermal Vision, Alex can detect infrared heat, allowing him to locate enemies through obscuring smoke and thin obstacles. With Infected Vision, it's similar to his Thermal Vision. Mercer can use this to detect viruses, diseases, and other biohazard things in bodies, allowing him to locate enemies that are infected carriers. When fully linked to the hive mind, it became a combination between spotting out the infected and Thermal Vision, tracking out hostile enemies from afar. He also has Hunting, Sonar, and Radar Pulse, a sonar-seeking vision that allows him to ping his prey and guide him to hunt them down by a city-wide scale. This ability is applicable if the evolved has info, data, DNA, and a memory or other clues in order to hunt the target. It can also work the same way as ultrasound, allowing him to detect one's nervous systems. And it has been applied as radar, since it can also detect light radiating from the body through thick walls. Evolved as such as Roland or even Heller can be immune to such. He also has mutation awards. It's a passive ability to aid Heller in battle. Mutations seem to be formed by consuming the Chrome virus from most infected and evolved while collecting intel on Heller's biological weaknesses. Field Ops and Black Boxes are questionable. He's good with offensive and defensive, and there's Locomotion, Predator, Power Specialist, and a Radnet exclusive.
He also knows the Flash Step as the final boss. Mercer is able to do a small quick leap forward without having to accelerate. This is possible because he is able to shift his biomass to his legs faster, like how James accelerates faster thanks to Cheetah. It is possible that his locomotion mutation ward can be further improved to allow Alex to accelerate faster to his max speed and allow him to do a Flash Step. He's also resistant to high temperatures, low temperatures, impact, in mind control, thermal radiation, and molecular weakening. His immunity is diseases, poison, soul, and sonar radar. Funny enough, viruses don't have a soul. Poison? He's a virus. How's poison gonna hurt him? Diseases. Like I said, a virus, along with all known ailments to man. Parasite and antivirus adaptability, discharging electricity. Oh no. Viral telekinesis. This ability has been brought up once or possibly twice in Prototype 1, but multiple times in Prototype 2, where James Heller evolves or gains a new ability. Concrete levitates around him and a shockwave without kinetic force, floating. It's something Alex should be capable of doing. This is even brought up in Prototype 1, but both stopping the elevator without lifting a finger and moving the sun or rotating the earth. However, Alex and James do not use them in combat, unless anti-gravity field is canon and part of his telekinesis. He also uses an adrenaline surge. He also has DLC abilities.
But the DLC abilities are non-canon.
So we're not going to put them in.
Yeah, DLC force multipliers do not count because those are non-canon. They're only there to have player wreak more havoc in the game. And if they were to be included, it'd be too broken.
Yeah.
So
now for Stomp the military and Blackwatch, who are capable of handling similar yet smaller outbreaks successfully for nearly 40 years, like the one Alex brought the infected in Manhattan at first. Defeated Specialist Ross, who was able to escape a horde of infected by his own and killed off a runner, who was like Mercer, except runners were once mainly girls, for some reason, that could escape Blackwatch to a town to spread the infection for 3 weeks all by himself. Ross is skilled enough to be able to combat against Alex for a moment during their fight, and he uses more powerful stun baton than the regular ones that stuns elephants with ease. Defeated Elizabeth Green, who led and bred the infected that can destroy any army sent by the US government depending on the size. Defeated the Supreme Hunter twice, with the second time under 6 minutes. Fought off super soldiers, has an extraordinary fast healing factor that heals almost instantly from many wounds. Can do a Batman each on his own sister Dana up close in 2 blinks of the eye in less than a second, while still injured by the Parasite and Specialist Cross, when he was already down with the pain of remembering the agony of Penn Station and the Parasite.
Sorry, continue.
Physically more powerful than Heller, since tactics, love, and hopes for his daughter Amaya, and hatred towards the enemy of Heller's main weapon against Alex, should be at least fast enough to make a speed illusion to the human eye by running with the glow of his body to make an orange streak, or even be fast enough to leave a trail of white glow before the light can dissipate. Became the main focus of the hive mind and could control the infected before Heller took over. All hell may rain loose when facing Pariah, and Pariah is the chance of wiping off the war. Able to have millions of minds in his head, mind resistance, while fighting like usual, can prevent Heller from escaping from the arena with his wood fist. Played a big role in helping Heller destroy all of the infected army through the consumption of what's left of his biomass. A shockwave was sent, shaking the entirety of Manhattan. The clouds bear his codename, Zeus. To somewhat support the radiation of the Earth feed, the commanding officer was already at Times Square at night, and by the same point in time, he's there by dawn. In less than an hour, the sun already set when they arrived at the USS Ronald Reagan. During the fight with the Supreme Hunter, it was night until the sun rose again. Another feat as powerful and absurd as the former from James' Mutation Award, Go Ballistic. Do you realize what this means? Alex was able to move as fast as 1/6 of the speed of sound, in my theory. He also has his weaknesses. Electricity locks his body in place, but developable now that his viruses can produce effective electrical and elemental attacks that go off like sparks and barely get electrocuted when going arm deep into substations. Healing speed, superhuman abilities links to his amount of biomass, meaning smaller amount of biomass, slower healing, slower, less strong, and durable. Prototypes and evolved have other unknown biological weaknesses that may have not been seen or noted. Blackwatch had classified documents that could counteract against the virus during cargo delivery missions, but they may be able to be adapted. Through this dialogue, he became very cocky and tends to mock and underestimate once he consumes his own involved. Once he was mentally vulnerable to memories of his own. Distortions of his past leaves him in shock and pain. Which means he can get mentally weakened if parts of his past gets brought up.
Though he did eventually overcome this at the end of the first game. If he's too low on biomass, he will be incapable of maintaining his evolved form. Can easily be enraged, but has begun avoiding it.
And he is able to build up an immunity to electricity. So,
I think it's gonna be a tough call. But anyways, but the other thing is, the less biomass he has in his body, the slower his regeneration will be. Comparable to the Supreme Hunter in terms of physiology, who can regenerate his entire body from a puddle of blood in a mere instance, but when he was drastically damaged and loses his biomass, he had difficulty regenerating a hand. Alex only regenerated instantly from massive damage after devouring biomass. So
his attack potency is small building level, and his speed is subsonic travel speed. He has a lifting strength of class M and a striking strength of small building level. His durability is also small building level, and his stamina is limitless. He has an extended melee range, and he has a genius intellect, which means he may or may not be a very careful tactician. Oh wait, are you gonna mention that one ability where one of those red things pop out of his body?
I'm guessing that isn't that part of consume or whatever?
I think so. Oh yeah, there was this one ability in Prototype where Alex can unleash millions of red spine thingies out of his body to consume other people or viruses, whatever.
So, Black
Okay.
Adrenaline Surge, Consume.
So who are we gonna put So who do you think is gonna be winning this, Alex or Cole?
It's a tough call. It's really a tough call. Like, sure, Cole has endured survived a nuke to the face while it was targeted at the beast or whatever.
And Alex managed to develop an immunity against electricity.
So, and the speed, well, we already know that because Cole is pretty much possibly faster than light. Plus, the RFI amplifies his powers immensely, which it's basically designed to take powers away. So, no, and
Alex also runs at subsonic speed.
Yeah, subsonic speed versus speed of light.
How fast is speed of light?
Let's see here. Fast is speed of light versus subsonic speed. Speed of light. How fast is the speed of light? Subsonic speed is with like typical speeds of a subsonic aircraft are less than 250 miles per hour, and the number m is much less than 1, so m less than 1. That's what I'm getting. But let's see what speed of light has. 874,030 times faster than the speed of sound. Cole has a speed advantage here.
But do you think that Alex has a strength advantage here?
Let's see here. Lifting strength is class M. Striking strength is large mountain level, likely higher. And striking strength for yeah. Mountain level versus multi-city block level. Depending on the attack, so... I'm going to just presume multi-city block level plus versus large mountain level, likely higher. For even higher with gigawatt blades and finisher attacks. So attack potency. We got large mountain level and attack potency for Alex, multi-city block.
I'm gonna have to go with a wild guess and just say that I think Alex is going to win this.
If he runs out of biomass, though, Alex could be in a world of hurt. And let's see here. Let's see here. Stamina is superhuman. Stamina for... Oh, so stamina... He has limitless stamina, and Alex has limitless stamina. And Cole's superhuman. Probably going to presume that superhuman is pretty much limitless as well. Not too sure.
I think I'm going to go with Alex on this one.
Alex to take advantage of Cole's weaknesses, they have to bring the fight near water. Since, well, even though despite Cole actually surviving the Empire City Harbor floating for a minute after the city was destroyed. So it depends if he can take advantage of that or not. And it also depends if Cole can actually last long enough to, well, have Alex Mercer run out of biomass. And, yeah, so I'm able to easily exploit weaknesses, so Cole's able to exploit weaknesses, so he could easily take advantage of exploiting the weaknesses that Mercer has. Like, finding out if he runs out of biomass, he could easily take advantage of that and try to make him run out of biomass. And slow down his regeneration. So it's a tough call. So I want to root for both, but I'm gonna bet. I might bet Alex, somewhat bet Cole. I'm kind of torn on this one, but I will be rooting for both.
I'm gonna be rooting and betting both.
Because I'm a bit torn on this one, actually. Because it depends on who's gonna take advantage of whose weaknesses first. But yeah, so like I said, it depends on who's going to take advantage of whose weaknesses first. Like, we already know Cole has a speed advantage. We already know that. And class 50 for Cole and lifting strength. What's class M? So Cole and Alex have pretty much similar strength, depending on what we include here. Since class M is literally the magnetic telekinesis and kinetic pulse. So yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, we're kind of torn on this. We're definitely torn on this one. And Ray and Fid RFI empowered. Basically, let's see here. RFI empowered. They're massively enhanced. The abilities are massively enhanced. So if they include the RFI, there could be a game changer there. But I don't know if the RFI, the Ray, what was it? What does the fucking RFI mean again? I gotta look this shit up. Like I said, been a while since I played the games. RFI Infamous Ray Field Inhibitor. So if they actually include the Ray Field Inhibitor, it could be a game changer, but I don't know if it is going to be able to affect a genetic virus that was made in the lab. But we'll see how it goes down, because I'm actually kind of like I said, I'm actually kind of curious who's going to win. I like both games, I just don't know who's going to win this. So our final thoughts? We're torn, right? So we just have to see how it plays out. And I like both games. It's just we don't know who's actually gonna win, because this is one of those ones that I'm actually torn with, and I don't know if they're gonna include certain things. I mean, I already know. It's obvious they're not gonna include the non-canon stuff, because that would require a ridiculous amount of lore to go through.
Yeah, I hope they don't include that stuff.
Not to mention they can't really include Evil Cole, because that's totally different. That's a totally different timeline with totally different powers.
Yeah, why would you even do that? Like, I guess this means we're. So is the prediction over?
Yeah, the prediction. Our final thoughts for this prediction. We are torn, but we are rooting for both.
Yep. Does this mean we're going to have to do the Bill versus Discord prediction?
Whenever we get around to it, because I know the holidays are coming up, and it's going to be a wild weekend, so to say.
Well, let's do the prediction whenever you feel like it, dude.
It'll most likely be after the holidays, like maybe the 26th or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that.
That way, I'm not trying to cram in stuff on during a holiday and when I want to just spend time with family or whatever.
Oh no.
Which makes total sense. Anyways.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your prediction in Streamstorm, and I'll see you on Monday for the prediction of Bill Cipher in Discord.
Yep. So that would be. Oh, he's back.
I forgot to ask. Which character are you going to be doing for the prediction? Bill Cipher or Discord?
Since I'm familiar with Discord, I might as well do him.
Then I'm going to do Bill Cipher. Funny enough, Bill Cipher was originally going to be green.
Weird. Probably symbol of money or the color of the dollar bill or whatever, I guess.
Or reference the Illuminati.
Like I said, only reason why I know Bill, mainly because it's because of Bill Cipher versus Sans 1 Minute Melee and the fact that that annoying dog did the Hat of Discipline.
You don't have to say, dude. We know.
I'm not doing the references. I'm not doing the reference 3 times. Like, I like, as much as I like it, I'm not gonna quote the reference again.
Okay, like I said again, thank you for having me on your stream, Storm, and for the prediction, and I'll see you on Monday for the prediction of Bill Cipher versus Discord. I'm going to be doing Bill Cipher, you're going to be doing Discord.
Alrighty. So yeah, that will be this prediction. So, like I said, we're torn, and we are rooting for both. So, till then, Captain Edgley signing off. I'll see you in the next stream. So, good day, everybody.